Your Skyblock level is a huge part of progression, and what's crazy is how many people end up missing out on easy levels. Because of the sheer amount of ways to obtain Skyblock XP, it's common for people to overlook the simplest tasks and end up with a lower level than they actually deserve. Today, we're going to be going over everything that you could be missing out on that you might not have even realized gives you Skyblock XP. Before we go into this video, we'd like to take your time to ask for you guys to subscribe. We're trying to maintain a decent uploading schedule, and a sub to the channel means more than you'll ever know. It's free, and you can always change your mind later. Without wasting any more of your time, let's move into the actual stuff you care about. Because there's close to 200 unique mobs in the bestiary, it's pretty fair to assume that you've missed out on at least a couple easy ones to kill. We first recommend trying and doing some of the easy bestiaries that you can get out of the way quick and without much setup, like deep caverns or barn mobs. Like for example, every mob on the barn has a super small bestiary that you can max in 20 minutes max. That's a free 30 XP you might be missing out on. With that, you should also always try to get the first few levels in every bestiary, even if it's a mob that you aren't fully capable of maxing the bestiary for. Because of the way bestiary scales, the first few levels can be extremely easy to level, and since each tier gives 1 Skyblock XP, it'll add up pretty quickly. Not much to say here, but you should always stay on top of your boss collections, especially with the update that rolled a few weeks ago that retroactively gave you an extra completion for every master mode completion you have before. You might even have some XP sitting around in here that you didn't know you had because of that update. For example, I had about 700 Livid collection before the update, but whenever it came out, I now have 1,050 and I got to claim the Diamond Livid head basically for free. They also don't give you a message whenever you hit the certain amount of runs that you need to finish the next tier on the milestone, so it's in your best interest to keep track of that, just in case. If you're playing Skyblock just for fun, or you're not much of a completionist, you might have missed out on some pretty easy XP from the Rift and other quest tasks. Most, if not all of the quests in the game give a little bit of Skyblock XP in and out of the Rift. Most of the stuff is pretty simple, it's just stuff like coming to the Lazy Miner and giving him his pickaxe, which that alone will give you 5 Skyblock XP, which is insane for how much time it takes. As a little bonus, you should try to complete every task in the Rift XP-wise. Every single thing in the Rift guide actually gives you 3 Skyblock XP whenever you do it. Like for example, if I came over to these Kermits and I jumped up here and I grabbed this, that's 3 Skyblock XP right there just for claiming that Enigma soul. You can get something stupid like 20 full levels from maxing out the Rift, and it does not take any time at all. For example, I had 95% of all of the tasks in the Rift completed by the first day of the update. There is some completionist stuff that might take you a little bit, like getting all 5 burgers from the Vampire Slayer, but this is something you can probably ignore until later in the game because it isn't easy XP. So if you go around, you look at you do your /Rift guide, and you check to see, oh, I'm missing a task. Oh, I'm missing crafting the Crux heirloom in the Rift. That's 3 Skyblock XP. So you might as well do it, and it's a big buff. Like all this little stuff, it adds up over time. Now this next one is pretty self-explanatory, but we want to quickly mention the event tasks. And this might not be the quickest Skyblock XP, but it's the most passive. All of these events are time limited, so it's best you jump at whatever chances you get. Along with these events, they often can make you extremely good money. Your best bet is to always try to stack them with the best money for that event. As an example, for mining fiestas, you could always do gemstone / gold mining for good money on top of the many levels you'll passively get. So for example, I'm missing mining fiesta XP and fishing festival XP, so whenever Marina and Coal come around, I need to be keeping track of the calendar to look for whenever those events are and trying to actively participate in as many as possible. Also, bestiary, oh my god. It seems now that every few updates I like to add new Abbey Foam contacts, and over time you might forget to add one, causing all this missing XP to snowball. Most Abbey Foam contacts are either extremely cheap or have no requirement at all, so there's no point to not go for every single one, even if they are useless. There's over 400 Skyblock XP just in Abbey Foam contacts alone, so there's no point for you to not get most of them, if not all of them, since they take pretty much 0 effort. Power stones are just another thing that might end up snowballing over time. Since there's like 3 power stones you might actually want to use, you could easily forget about the existence of most of them. Each new power stone you learn is an additional 15 Skyblock XP, and some are a little more expensive than others, but hey, anything for Skyblock XP, right? For example, you might be missing something like the Rock Candy Reforge, which is 936,000 coins, and it gets you 15 Skyblock XP just to give it to him. You never have to use the Reforge, but that is free Skyblock XP. And if you want to see the reforges that you might be missing, you can just click Learn Power Stones, then Power Stones Guide, and you can go through each one and see the name of each power stone. You can check if you have it or not, and if you don't have it, then you can just look it up on the bazaar, and then see if it's cheap or not. And finally, we have Museum. Museum is something overlooked by a lot of players. It's mostly ignored as people kind of hate the idea of soul binding their precious items, but it's one of the best and quickest ways to earn Skyblock XP. With nearly every update, there's new museumable items, some even with extremely cheap price tags. Not to mention, Museum XP scales per tier up, meaning that the amount of XP you'll get from donating your first item compared to your 100th will be way more. For example, your first museumable item should only be about 4 Skyblock XP, whilst ours give up to 10 to 16 Skyblock XP per tier. As you can see, I'm almost maxed. My next one gives me 16, and then I get 10 for the last one. Then back all the way at the beginning, you're only getting 4 Skyblock XP, and then 10 for every milestone. So it's worth it to add up. Pretty much, my advice is, if you're gonna use an item, you might as well soulbind it, because it's not good practice to sell gear. So if you soulbind it, you actually can't sell it, and you might need it in the future, so it's just good to have. I soulbind pretty much everything that I have. My Hyperion is soulbound. My Hyperion is soulbound, my Terminator is soulbound, my AOTV, all my Crimson Armor, my Aurora, my Spirit Set, pretty much everything that you have should go into the museum, because you're going to need it in the future anyway, so even if you think it's a good idea to sell it now to get something that you want, it's not going to pay off in the future. And that's pretty much it for today. Let us know in the comments if there's any other types of guides you'd like to see. We're trying to maintain an every other day upload schedule for a while, so if you have anything you'd like to see, we'll probably get around to it. That's really it. Subscribe, and see ya.